This is part 2 of our retrospective of the Hellraiser franchise, and now we get to after pretty much part 4 pretty much didn't do too well at the theaters when it came out. It wasn't really a box office hit or anything. It pretty much didn't really make much of its budget back.
Which is sad. It was a good movie. I thought it tied in and ended it very well, but
yeah, me too. Well, now we get to Hellraiser 5, which is now Hellraiser Inferno, where at this point, the series started going direct to video.
Alright, now let's give the little backstory of this production and how they forced these movies.
Yeah, so Hellraiser 4 Bloodline was actually the last one that was supposed to be, that was an original story, that was not based on Hellraiser. The rest of these films that were coming out, starting with Hellraiser Inferno, were pretty much scripts that they had that didn't even involve Hellraiser.
Yeah, these were standalone movies.
Yeah, these were pretty much standalone movies that didn't have anything to do with Hellraiser until the Dimension got a hold of the film rights where they wanted to try to capitalize on the success of the franchise by putting Pinhead in them.
Yeah, basically they wanted to pull don't want to compare this because this movie actually worked out to be very good. 10 Cloverfield Lane, and this has actually became a thing that's been on and off, not really used back in the day. It's more common now. It's becoming a big thing now, where basically these people write standalone stories, and pretty much people look at it and say, well, this is just so original, nobody wants to go see it. They don't know what it's going to be about.
Yeah.
They're going to be scared to try it out. They'll wait on video, and we won't make money. So what they do is, they go and take iconic fucking things, like Hellraiser, and they just plaster 2 minutes of shots and say, oh, it's a full-blown Hellraiser movie. Then you go and waste your fucking money on it, and it's not.
Yeah. And that became pretty much the staple for the next movies that we'll be talking about.
Yep.
Now, the first one we're getting into, now the next one, Hellraiser Inferno, is actually a little different this time, because this one deals with, unlike the other films where it's pretty much, a straightforward Pinhead story, this one, it deals with a more psychological level, where you're dealing with a detective who is looking for this killer that is leaving fingers at the scene of the crime that's killing a child.
And let me ask you this real quick. I can't picture it. I'm picturing him. What fucking thing did he play? What movie was he in?
Craig Schaefer, Nightbreed.
Nightbreed,
yeah. Recently, me and him watched another Clive Barker film that me and him recently watched, which I thought was pretty good. So you can see where possibly the developers of the Dimension Films probably looked at Nightbreed and thought, he would probably be good for a kind of Hellraiser film.
Clive Barker's.
Yeah. So
movies.
He plays a detective in this film that is looking for this killer that is leaving fingers at the scene of the crime, and he realizes that this killer is, our weird coincidence enough, is going by the Engineer, which is something really cool because that's the first time we heard about this thing from the book of the Hellraiser. So as the movie goes along, you start to see that he's starting to see shit that's really out of the ordinary, because at first he's noticing they see clues left at the crime scenes, but then there's one night he's going out just basically screwing around behind his wife's back that he's married to. He screws this prostitute, and he gets from the evidence locker, he gets the puzzle box, because the puzzle box was left at the scene of the crime where this guy was killed at. And he realized that he went to school with that guy when he was younger. And one night he's with this prostitute after they have sex. He goes in the bathroom and solves the puzzle box. And the rest of the film is pretty much him losing his mind because he's seeing a lot of weird shit happen around him.
Yep.
And so as the movie goes along, you start to see a lot of weird shit. He's seeing a videotape that's showing the actual murder that's happening and stuff.
Remember that, yeah.
Where you've seen a guy getting fucking beat with whips and shit.
Yeah. And you know what's really funny? It's an analogy what I'm kind of thinking right here. These movies would kind of feel kind of like Hellraiser being in bits and pieces. Kind of reminds you in a way of Silence of the Lambs.
It does.
It's where Silence of the Lambs, quite a few of the films, it's really him playing the guy who's in a cell. He's far away. He's not even going to do anything, really. It's not really his movie. It's another killer trying to solve another killer.
Yeah. And that's what this film really reminds me kind of, because the whole film, he's looking for the engineer, and then he goes to like these different places with his partner, who is that dude off I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry, John Turturro's cousin, I believe.
Yeah.
And they're going around trying to investigate what's happening, and I really like the movie, even though it's flawed. I can still say out of the direct-to-video ones, it's still enjoyable. Yeah. I do like what they do with it as far on a psychological level, because as the film goes, when you see, even though this guy is, because this police officer is a complete dickhead to everybody, but I still got into his.
I believe he's in drugs.
Yeah, he does drugs, and he's he's kind of a dirty cop because he's fucking around on the police force. But I still got into his character because he's pretty much losing his mind.
And not only that, I do like that guy that played him.
Yeah, Craig Schaefer. I do like the guy.
And I gotta agree with you. I've seen the first 4 films. Then it took me a while, and then he let me borrow 5 through 8. Well, we watched 9 together. Yeah. But he let me borrow 5 through 8, and I waited a long time to see these because I've already heard bad things about how Hellraiser wasn't in. I was scared to ever watch it until you let me borrow them. And I gotta agree, 5 for like its own. Like, if I don't see it much of a Hellraiser standpoint, or even if I kind of do, I guess I could let it pass a little bit. It still had some likable parts. Don't get me wrong, like I mean, it was better than the other ones. Yeah. It's doable, but I didn't like it. It's not strong, but it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah, I see. That's the thing. I think this one's very underrated because when you start to see a lot of things that unfold later in the film, you start to notice that even though he's losing his mind, there are things that come together as a Hellraiser film that you start to see happen.
Yeah, I can give you that. Compared to the other ones, oh, fuck yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because when we get to our climax, it involves the final confrontation where he realizes where the puzzle box is coming from, and he goes back to his house where his wife and daughter are. He sees Pinhead, and that's when you realize that that we have a twist that involves where this entire time he's basically living in his own hell. Yeah. And so, because the movie is pretty much like, it's more on a psychological level.
And it wasn't like gory like the previous 4 films.
Right, because they kind of toned down this one because they wanted to do more of a different take on Hellraiser.
Like a psychological storyline. Kind of do like a Silence of the Lambs type thing.
Or like a 7 or something.
Now, as far as he says with the screen time or the more Hellraiser film, to me, out of the direct-to-videos that we'd see throughout, this is probably the most screen time you will get with him.
At least for the last act, because throughout the film, you're only seeing glimpses of Pinhead and the Cenobites, because the rest of the film, he's basically seeing hallucinations, until we get to the final climax, which involves pretty much the iconic scene where Schaefer's character is seeing pretty much who the engineer is, and he realizes that it's himself. Yeah. And Pinhead comes in there, and he's basically saying, "This is the life you chose, Joseph, and now you are." Then he says, "Welcome to hell." And that's where we get that scene where he's pretty much torn from the fucking chains.
Yeah. So he gets attacked by the chains and all that. Yeah, it gets torn up. Yeah.
Yeah. So even though Pinhead's not in this one as much as he is in the other films, it's still. I still think it still works on the way it paid off, you know. So
I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it, because I really like the film, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. I'm a 6 out of 10 on this one. But it was my last direct-to-video Hellraiser film. I would say that was doable. That was the last one. Because these next ones we're about to talk about get gradually fucking horrible.
Oh, yeah. So the next one we get to is Hellraiser Hellseeker, which I saw when I actually rented from Blockbuster one time.
Which is sad because this one actually brings back
Ashley Lawrence,
the iconic
Christy Cotton. In this one, we have it to where. Now, this is also something I'll get to.
It's shocker that they bring all those people back and they write a fucking shitty fucking movie.
Yeah. So basically, we get it to where the movie starts with Christy Cotton, who coming back from the... Well, we didn't mention this in the third film. Christy Cotton is in the third film, where she's in archive footage, because the reporter chick, if you remember the third movie, was looking up footage from basically of archives, and she was learning about the box, and the third film showed footage of her.
Yeah, and what's really weird is another thing we need to bring up. After the previous 1 through 4, these movies would actually be standalone movies. They will not concur after one after another like they used to. Like
Now, technically speaking, this one is a sequel to the first 3 movies at least, because they bring back Christy Cotton.
Yeah, at least. But like the movie itself and the rest of the franchise, this is when they do not, like they used to do. They actually are all standalone films.
Right. Yeah. So we have it to where Christy Cotton and her husband, played by Dean Winters, who you may remember from the insurance commercials, the Mayhem guy, and Dean Winters, and he also played in John Wick as the Russian dude's henchman. And so their husband and wife, they're on their way to wherever, and they get into a car accident where their car goes into this river. Now, the rest of the film deals with Trevor, played by Dean Winters. His character is trying to find out what happened to Christy because her body was never recovered in the lake. Now, as the film goes along, much like Inferno, he is starting to see a lot of hallucinations and shit, and he starts to he gets a hold of the box from this merchant that he dealt with a long time ago, and he starts to see a lot of the Cenobites and like all these weird hallucinations and stuff. And as the movie
kind of gets old because you've seen that in the last film.
That's what I'm saying. So this basically is a retrend of 5, but the only difference is that they bring back a main character from the previous movie.
Yeah.
So not really going into too much detail because it's pretty much the same plot as the 5th one, but when you start to see the movie go along, there's a detective that's trying to figure out what's happening, and they're thinking that he's having to do everything because the murders start happening with him involved, and they think he's doing it. Yeah. So, I mean, because that's pretty much the same thing that happened with Inferno, because Inferno, the detective was pinned on the murders for killing people.
Yeah.
So, not really much to go into detail about, but in regards to Christy Cotton, my only disappointment with this one was that they didn't have much screen time with her, because they do like this twist that involves where we see a flashback that shows that Trevor actually set her up by giving her the box, and he was basically having to force her to open the puzzle box.
Yeah, and then we get the famous with him and Pinhead
where they reunite.
And he's like, "I haven't seen you in a long time," and all that shit like that. Then she renegotiates a new contract with him.
She makes a deal with him by saying that she will give him 5 souls in exchange for Trevor, or in exchange for hers.
Yeah.
So those 5 souls, as we start to see throughout the film, are actually the victims of Trevor that he's supposedly killing. The police are actually convinced that he's killing them, but it's actually the Cenobites.
Yep.
So they pull a twist on us where it's actually the Cenobites killing them.
Yep.
And so then we get to our climax, which involves Trevor pretty much confront Pinhead, and then we get this, actually, I'll give it this, there is a cool twist that involves where this entire time it showed that Trevor was actually dead the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
So, because it shows that his body was recovered from the river from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So, I
guess they try to do psychological twists.
Yeah, but my main problem with this one was that the fact that there's really a lot less screen time of Christy Cotton, and the fact that this film is basically a fucking retrend of 5, and not really...
And then it's also Hellraiser's last little beat he ain't doing much of. Plus...
The violence was really toned down a lot more in this one.
Even more. It's like, okay, we're starting to see Hellraiser films that actually can almost pass PG-13. It's getting scary.
Well, I mean, they still show some gore, like the part where the dude blows his head off, and parts like...
But it's so minimum that you can barely blink an eye, and it's not even fucking... You can miss it.
Yeah, so, I mean, they kind of toned down more of the gore in this one.
Yeah.
And plus, like...
I expect a lot from Cotton, like Chrissy coming back. I expected them to try to revive the series.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was very disappointing. It's basically like you were telling me about Children of the Corn 666, Isaac's Return.
You bring him back, but it is a very big turnoff.
Yeah. So this one, like, I don't hate it, but I can say it's definitely a step down from the other previous movies.
It's a big step down for me. I'm going to say it's a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's about 5 out of 10 for me. Like, the only... I like Dean Winters, I like Ashley Lawrence and Doug Bradley. They did fine. and I like the twist they do. But the rest of the
There's
film,
a lot
it's
of
just
mess.
that's what I'm saying. The rest of the shit, it's just something I've seen better in Inferno.
Yeah, and it's just standard. It's at some point it's kind of boring.
Yeah, it's very padded out for a lot of shit. That just
the thing is, even at 5 out of 10, we kind of say we like some parts and didn't hate it, a lot of it.
Right, so
now that is the first time you're going to hear us say that on any Hellraiser film, because these next 3 we're about to mention are fucking just straight out brutally terrible.
Yeah,
just straight out just fucking garbage.
Now, the next one we get to is Hellraiser Deader, which was actually shot back to back with the next one after that. So they did like a back to back with
I remember
they both
the
same year.
Yeah,
2005.
Yeah, I noticed that 2 Hellraisers came out one year. I was like, God damn, what are they just fucking shooting these like TV series?
Yeah, they were shot literally back to back. So the next one is called Hellraiser Deader, which involves Carrie Woller's character, who is dealing with a backstory involving her abusive father.
Yep.
And throughout the film, she realizes that there's this cult that is able to bring back the dead. And so, in a way, they are trying to do like the first film did, where they're pretty much doing the whole bringing back the dead kind of angle.
Chains
with the chains and
with all the mattresses and
right.
stuff like
so
that. Yeah.
I do like they at least tried doing that.
Yeah.
But the problem is with this fucking cult is very inconsistent because we don't understand what their fucking goal is.
Yeah, and then they speak some gibberish bullshit. They worship something else. That shit was throwing me the fuck off. And then the whole... I did say that another thing I did like is it did have that 90s fear type feel to it, I guess, with the grungy. You can almost mistaken it as like a straight from 94 type movie. You can feel like that, but other than that, man, the cult was very uninteresting. Concept could have worked, maybe, but this is a Hellraiser film. I don't really think that children cult thingy bullshit should be in this.
Well, it's like the same equivalent to Halloween's Curse of Michael Myers with the whole cult shit.
Where you have the slasher, and then you bring some fucking other god thing. Which, by the way, I'll talk to you in a little bit about that. I had a good theory on this one. But anyways, back to what we're saying.
But basically, the film goes along where she gets a hold of the puzzle box, and this one I'll at least give more credit with on one thing. Doug Bradley, they upped the Gorgon, and Doug Bradley is in this one more so than he was in the other 2 direct-to-video films. So I'll give it that because he has more screen time in this one.
Yeah.
So out of the direct-to-video ones, this one actually has his most screen time.
And then he pulls a part 3 a little bit with the end where the kids worship him back into the cult thing.
Yeah.
And then so he starts going to hell, like sticking them through those long bars.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, the climax involving the cult where they're trying to kill Carly Willis' character off and to try to bring her back to life. I like this part because not only do we get to see a lot of fucking brutality where this dude gets ripped in so many parts where you see the guts hanging out and shit, where you see like a lot of his limbs falling off and stuff like, or you see a lot of his skin hanging out and all that. I love all the brutality go with it because it's very practical.
And you know what's funny is if you notice that these Cenobites actually, you start to notice they start changing from movie to movie.
They do, yeah. Especially
some are missing.
The 5th one, there was like a spider or some kind of shit.
Yeah, like it's cool that they're changing it up, but the famous ones that's been with them forever, it's like, okay, you can't just add on to Cenobites, you're getting rid of them for other Cenobites, so you're getting rid of the classic ones.
Yeah, they're changing them up.
That you don't know, whatever happened to them, what killed them off, So you start questioning that. And then some of them also start, throughout the fucking series, they start looking poorly made.
Well, and some of them are kind of like rehashes from like other ones. Like the twin dudes, I think they do make... Well, one of them looks like one of them in like the later films. They do bring back the Chatter one in one of them that we'll talk about. Yeah. But this one, I think from what I remember, it's like there's one that looks kind of like a Chatter. But not really.
But anyway, this cult.
This cult pretty much tries to kill her off, and then the Cenobites come in where we get that fucking brutal scene where he starts killing all of them one by one. And then we see Carrie Waller says, no, I forgot. It's been a while since I've seen this, because I remember that it was something to do with her dad, that she wanted to pretty much bring her dad back to life or something like that. And she basically chose to take her own life, so she kills herself after she summons the Cenobites.
It's like
back.
a suicide fucking group.
It's pretty much,
And then he slaughters them all that bullshit. And basically, and another bad thing with this film that really was fucking garbage was, this is actually the first Hellraiser film, before we start talking about the other ones, this is the start of the one that actually did a Hellraiser film that was horribly poorly made.
This film was so poorly shot. This one was like so fucking bad looking. It looked like some off of Saw 7 3D.
Yeah, it just like straight up looked like sci-fi. I shot it on my videotape in my fucking bedroom under my bed. It's like, god damn, what the fuck? And I was like, damn, this really would kill the fucking Hellraiser series. Fuck.
Most definitely.
Jesus. But
overall,
this movie was really just fucking not for
horrible.
me. It's a 3.5 out of 10 for me.
It's about a 3 out of 10 for me. Like, besides the gore and at least seeing more screen time with Doug Bradley, it's just not.
And in the 90s
I like Carrie Waller as an actress, so she did fine. Yeah, that's really about it. The rest of the film, badly fucking directed, everything.
Visually, it was horrible. It's a 3.5 out of 10. Better.
And so the same year, we also got another Hellraiser film, which, out of the Doug Bradley films, this is actually the worst one. Yeah. So we get now to Hellraiser Hellworld, which I'll give it this. Okay, when I was actually looking forward to this one, because when I went to Blockbuster and rented this, I saw on the box cover it showed that Hellraiser was like in this Matrix kind of looking cover art, where it looks like the film was going to be taking place in like an online kind of game they were playing or something, where you have these kids that are going to this funeral to celebrate the death of their to see the death of the funeral of one of their friends that died, and they get invited to this party that's celebrating Hellraiser. So I'll give you one credit on this: the film is actually is basically going meta by saying that Hellraiser is a film in this world. Yeah. So I will give it on that credit, because they at least try to say that Hellraiser does exist in this world. So I can at least see what they are trying to do as far as the whole meta thing. Yeah. But this film gets really bad as it goes along, because basically they get
shitty acting kids.
Yes, a lot of these actors are fucking horrible. And you know what's really funny? One of the actors in this film, believe it or not, is Henry Cavill, who plays Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is his first movie.
Yeah.
So they get invited to this party by Lance Henriksen's character, and they realize this is a party to celebrate Hellraiser. So they go in, and the whole party looks cool. I like the look of the house.
It's funny because it's kind of like reminds me of what Wrong Turn 5 did, where they celebrate the inbreds. They're actually celebrating the inbreds.
Oh, they did?
As a holiday thing, like they're doing with, like you said, they're celebrating Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Like a metaphor thing. They're having fun celebrating Pinhead, even though that Pinhead can be real and come get you. Is that what you're basically saying? That's what they did in Wrong Turn 5. There's a big party and a spring break thing in West Virginia where everybody's celebrating the inbreds by dressing up like them.
Oh, okay.
Knowing what they did to people.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor. But anyway,
yeah. As the movie goes along, when they go to this party, it starts to come out pretty cool, because this party they have, I'll admit, like, the first probably 30 minutes when they actually go to the party is actually not too bad, because I like the way the interiors look when they're actually, like, celebrating all this shit.
But it's kind of like a rave type thing.
It is, it's like a rave kind of thing where they're...
And you think it's going to be, like, on computers, like Hellraiser's going to take over the internet.
It is kind of weird at first, but I mean, just the whole, like the look of it, I thought visually was cool. Because they go to this dungeon room that is has all these experiments and stuff that pretty much was something that the Cenobites collected or something like that.
Yeah.
And what we don't realize, and this is pretty much a fucking obvious, is that Lance Henriksen pretty much is basically luring them to be killed off one by one by the Cenobites. And as the movie goes along, they start to realize there's other rooms they go into. Well, first, here's the weirdest thing. They get these cell phones, right, that have, these numbers they're supposed to call. And these cell phones, they're only allowed to receive phone calls instead of dial out.
Yeah.
And the rest of the film, they're able to call each other on. You notice that?
Yeah, it don't make no sense. Like, a continuity, it's like... very poorly written. They didn't realize they didn't put it together, like, good enough. And they're like, oh, shit, we said that in that scene, but they can't call people, but they're fucking calling people in the scene. It was a complete mess. Well, and I did like the whole, I thought they were going to do an internet thing. It would have been a cool concept. It'd be like him actually taking over the world, which was believable. We get hell on Earth, right?
Yeah.
We get the lack of him feeling that he's doing the Armageddon on Earth, but it still felt close. And then now Hell World, which is kind of basically saying Hell on Earth again.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay,
well, because
in a way it's the same fucking title.
Well, because the tagline says "Evil goes on wine." So the what kind of threw me off was the fact I thought the plot was going to be that they're going like in a virtual reality or something where Hellraiser exists, and he brings out into our world where he pulls them out
by using the internet.
Yeah, that would have been a fucking cool concept.
Like a concept where everybody is like basically kind of like The Ring, where you're stuck, where you have to. You're like, what's this thing that came on my screen? It's a box. I'm going to play with it. And everybody starts playing with it. And they're opening up Cenobites all around the world.
Yeah.
That would have been called Hell World. That's what the title of the fucking thing is. But you call that Hell World, you're talking about Cenobites taking over. And this is like the least fucking shots for fucking Hellraiser.
Well, not
like, what the fuck?
This entire
How is this movie like called Hell World as in they're taking over and they're not even in the fucking movie?
That's the thing. Like, you see parts where they go into these rooms and there's one or two, there's a Cenobite that kills them off, and then there's like these, this is what threw me off. This fucking editing is really fucking weird. Okay, when they get killed off, now I'm using quotations here, killed by the Cenobites, they wake up in these fucking graves, like screaming and shit. I'm like, why the fuck are you cutting them to like a grave? That's what threw me off. Like, why are you doing this?
It's like a Point Break fucking editing.
Yeah, it's like,
it's
like,
it's like jump off the fucking waterfall and then wake up in a fucking perfect storm. Like, the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, and so they're getting killed off in these by these different Cenobites, and then you see that one of the characters is going to this one room, which is really weird. Now, this is never fucking explained here. They go to this, there's one dude that goes to this one room where he has sex with like this nun. They don't even explain what the fuck that was about. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck was that all about?
It's a clump of shit just thrown in this fucking movie.
I'm like, did they just have like, turn channel on like the fucking Chiller Network and just put on a random scene? Yeah. Like, but anyway, long story short, the movie's twist basically involves, it's a fucking I know you did last summer knockoff, because this entire time Lance Henriksen's character is getting revenge on the kids because the person we see at the beginning of the film who was their friend was actually his son, and so like I still don't like, well, it's more specifically I still know he did last summer. He's getting revenge on them because they thought he killed his son because he was solving the box, and he thought they brainwashed him into doing that. Yeah. So this entire fucking movie has nothing to do with Hellraiser because, as we later reveal in the film, when they're actually killed by the Cenobites, it's actually hallucinations that never fucking happened.
So nobody really fucking died, really. And then you get the fucking Hendrix fucking drinking fest at the end.
Where, I'll give it this. Okay, this scene at the end,
I did like
okay. Yeah. So, the two main characters, they escape, and pretty much Lance Henriksen's character gets away. Now we cut to where he's in a hotel, where he actually has the box, and he's thinking of his son, and he solves the box, and Pinhead and the Cenobites come out. Now, I do like this scene, because for one, it's the only fucking time we actually see the Cenobites actually come out in, 2 minutes of screen time?
And Hellraiser, yeah. Pinhead.
In the entire franchise, not counting previously when they're hallucinations, this is the only time you see fucking Doug Bradley on screen.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fucking shit to his face. I mean, you gotta give the guy credit. He made that fucking franchise. You give him that long?
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, I like Lance Henriksen, but when you have Lance Henriksen overshadowing Doug Bradley in a fucking Hellraiser film, you have problems right there. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, he gets killed, which I do like this part because it shows the chatter dude, like, throwing this weird chain at him, and it cuts him, like different pieces and shit.
Yeah, and it was gory as fuck. But
so,
this movie was fucking god-awful, brutally fucking messed up, unvisually likable, shitty fucking plot, cluster fucking piece of shit.
Horrible acting.
Yeah, horrible acting, everything. It's a 1 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll give with the whole meta concept and Lance Henriksen and parts with Doug Bradley, I'll give it at least a 1.5 out of 10. But yes, the rest of the acting was horrible. The fucking continuity fucking didn't help. And also the visual... Well, okay, it's more like well shot more slightly than Deader was.
Yeah.
But that's only slightly because it at least looked more like a 90s film.
But still 1 out of 10 for me.
Right, so it's still definitely the worst out of the Doug Bradley films.
Yeah.
Now, after this film, pretty much, we didn't see a while for Hellraiser films, actually, because I didn't...
I think that killed it.
That pretty much killed it after a while, because they didn't make any for a long time. And then, in 2011... here's the weirdest thing. In 2011... Oh, well, between this and the next one, they were actually talking about doing a remake of Hellraiser.
Yeah, the reboot.
Now, Clive Barker was involved with this remake with a writer who did the director of Drive Angry. He wanted to get him involved with it, where Clive Barker was going to write the script, and he was going to have Patrick Lussier, I believe the guy's name, to direct it. Thing was because Dimension was still fucking not making up their mind to do the remake, and also because of Clive Barker trying to find a script involved. Problems came up and development hell came around, so in order to keep the rights, basically plans fell through with the remake, and it's still in development, but until then, in 2011, Dimension, because they still had to keep the rights, they decided to do a very shitty fucking direct-to-video film called Hellraiser Revelations. And here's the weirdest fucking part about this one. Okay, this is the first one out of the franchise that does not star Doug Bradley.
Yeah, Doug Bradley looked at the script and fucking took a spit on it and said, "Fuck this garbage fucking dog shit." And he hated some of the straight to videos he did, but when he says even those were better than this, we knew we were in for some dog shit.
Yeah. So this one,
because I didn't think nothing could be worse than Hellworld.
Yeah, this one was actually shot on a very low budget. Now keep in mind, the other films were probably shot around probably $1 million, maybe $2 million or something like that. This one, believe it or not, is actually shot a lot less cheaper than the other ones. No, listen to this.
This movie, this Revelations was shot so cheap. You could be somebody who owned a fucking mobile home trailer, and you could fucking put that shit on fucking sale and probably have enough money to shoot this fucking movie. That's how bad this movie was shot.
So, basically, because Dad Bradley didn't want to come back, we actually replaced him with another actor involved with this, Steven something, to play Pinhead. And when I first seen the fucking pictures of Hellraiser of this one, I was like, no, please no, do not replace Doug Bradley.
This motherfucking dude, this fucking Hellraiser looks like he weighs 250 to 300 pounds. I thought we were watching the nutty fucking Hellraiser. The nutty professor of Hellraisers. I thought the fucking clumps were going to come out with him. And then they pull a goddamn Crow 4 on us with fucking Edward Furlong looking motherfucker. You remember the little baby Crow? Yeah, mini-me. We got a mini-me fucking Hellraiser in this fucking movie.
He's called Fake Faux.
I was like, I am not seeing this. They're actually taking concepts from fucking Austin Powers? Are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
This can't be fucking happening. Not to mention the people, the victims in it. We'll go to the story in a second. The people, the victims, actor and actresses. These were some low-budget, non-talented ass motherfuckers in this film. Was that something else? Huh? It's like this fucking acting is just horrible.
Yeah. So basically,
what the fuck was something else? What the fuck? Can you guys not fucking act? Oh my god, this shit is trash.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so the story. Okay, I will say this about the only slightly good positive thing I would say about this. The film actually, the story involves two guys. They're two friends that are on their way to Mexico to get pussy and to pretty much hang out and all that shit. And you could, at first it threw me off, because the very beginning it looked like it's probably they're trying to take a found footage approach, because it shows that they're using handheld cameras.
That one fucking shit talking, you always got that one, I'm white by the way, you got that one white preppy boy fucking talking shit in these type movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Brad, you ain't gonna do shit, and all that stuff. Yeah, they get drunk and fucked up in Tijuana, I think it is.
Yeah, and they were going by so fast because they kept cutting every second, because like every scene they're in, they kept cutting to like other parts of the when they get there.
Basically, he's saying the editing was just fucking choppy as fuck in this movie.
Yeah, because they kept speeding it up, like boom, 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 boom.
And it was choppy the fuck up. I'm
yeah,
like,
so
God damn,
they
man,
get to Mexico. They meet a prostitute, or no, they meet a girl that's at the club, and they take her to this motel and everything. They're fucking around, and they one of them is using the puzzle box because I think wasn't it a bathroom or something where they realized that there's a puzzle box. And they're so like in the bathroom.
Yeah, it's funny because now we're assuming that this fucking puzzle box just appears, or did somebody give it?
No, he gave it to them. They're at the club. Once again, this is where I don't fucking understand. Just call it the engineer. They come across a guy who gives them the box and makes them an offer, and at this point, just call him the fucking engineer because this guy sells them the box to them.
Yeah.
They go to this hotel. One of them sells the box, I believe. It's at the hotel or the bathroom, I can't remember. But anyway, shit breaks loose, and I believe his friend got killed. Yeah. And so the rest of the film deals with a different story involving the victim, the friend, one of the friends' family members that are worried about the guy, and they're trying to figure out what's happening. And we get some really fucking bad acting, especially.
All right, check this out. So the friend loses his best friend.
Yeah.
They come back to do this emotional. They do a funeral. And he comes to this house. Basically, it feels like almost a purge type shit. So you live in this rich house, and basically it's the guy who lives family, and then the guy who's the boys lost, the one they lost a kid, his family are getting fucked up in this house. I guess as an after funeral party or some shit. And basically the acting is so terrible, like he said, because this boy's parents show no emotion that their kid's gone.
Not to mention, the one that I couldn't fucking stand was that sister character. Mm-hmm. That woman pissed me the fuck off. Like, every scene, she's like, it's like, well, she's always bitchy all the time. She's like, well, I want to go this way, or something like that.
Why are we not leaving yet?
Yeah.
I mean, this act, the way we're saying it is how bad the acting is.
Yeah.
Like, they're just not, no one has a care in the world. Why even make this fucking movie?
Yeah. So, it's been a little, we just seen this movie last year, but it's already kind of fucked in my head, so we might be missing some details about the film, but from what I remember was that, don't we get, where he comes back as, a zombie or something?
That's some shit like that. I remember that, but the thing is what's really kept annoying me, is throughout this whole film, they would hear a scratch outside. It's like they're all trying to act badass. They're all drunk. Like the parent. You had that one dad. It kind of reminded me of the dude from Not a Living Dead. The one that was a dick down in the cellar.
Yeah.
That reminded me of that dude. And it's okay, he's a Billy badass, and you got motherfuckers getting drunk. These people still not emotionally broke down to their kids' dead?
No, because you don't even see the way they're reacting.
It's oh yeah, I heard a scratch outside. It's how many times do you guys hearing shit outside and you get running out there?
Not to mention,
this shit's getting old. You're running back and forth. You guys have a scene where you're in your house, you hear something outside, you run out there. Then you guys did that shit again. Then you did it again. Then you did it again.
Well,
then you did it again. I'm like, God damn,
that's where
man.
you can tell this movie was shot fucking cheap, because most of the film takes place in this house. Where they keep going back outside every fucking scene.
It's a cheap set, too.
Yeah.
You can tell it's a cheap set.
That's what I'm saying. So, there is something that goes along where from what I remember, doesn't the box get open again and something happens?
That one kid that lived went psycho. It wasn't a zombie thing. He went psycho.
Okay, yeah, he went nuts. And so
he's like, I got you now. Just some twist.
Yeah, okay. So pretty much he from what I remember is he basically has it to where the Cenobites come in, and
basically he said he talked to him before or some shit.
Yeah, he talked to him or something. It's been a while since I really watched it.
We and him both watched it last year.
It was so forgettable that it was so insultingly bad. I'm starting to forget details. So the one thing I remember though was that we have a flashback that involves where apparently, much like the first film, he was trying to get his friend to come back to life by killing the prostitute. And by killing the prostitute, he was going to give him skin.
So they're basically doing the same.
By doing, which I at least give him one on paper. That sounds fine because you're at least trying to tie things. You're trying to do things like the first film again.
Yeah.
So I at least give them that. But the reason why this don't work is because it's shitty film already. Yeah. But anyway, they kill the prostitute, and it's really the only scene where you get any really practical effects. Because they do go into detail with that one scene with her where she's getting fucking like killed off and shit. But then when we get to our climax that involves the Cenobites come in, we get a really bad fucking twist that involves where the dude comes back and he's at home. He shoots the fucking father, and the dude is still able to talk after getting shot in the chest.
Yeah, this dude gets shot straight point blank, blowing out fucking 12 gauge shotgun straight right by the heart. And this fucking dude is like fucking straight up just talking normal. Like he's not even making grunt. He's like, yeah. I know, Sonny. Some shit like that. I'm like, oh my god.
And then
really? Come on.
And then basically what happens is we get the fucking...
Oh, and not only that, they even do the... thank God, it's bad anyways. They're so badly written now that even the new Pinhead even gets a last second come in.
Yeah, they do this weird thing where, well, no, throughout the film, you're thinking that it's going to be the real Pinhead, but there's actually a fake one. It's the little mini Pinhead.
Yeah, you get a mini Pinhead, and he stands right next to that fat one that looks like he ate McDonald's daily. I'm like, god damn, Pinhead's really gotten fat over the years. Yeah, the McDonald's, dude. I mean, I was like, god damn, this shit. And the dude looks so poorly made. I was like, oh my god, this shit looks so fucking obviously fake. This looked like something that somebody would pull in YouTube. Yeah. That's how bad it fucking is.
That's what it was. And plus, we get to the climax that involves, pretty much, the Cenobites kill the wife. And in exchange for...
And the voice don't even feel
Yeah, this voice was like, sounded more higher than I would ever hear from fucking Pinhead.
Yeah, like, your soul is mine. Oh my god, do you get kicked in the nuts now? This shit is just so fucking awful. Me and him did like a riff, kind of a commentary. Commentary. Kind of like a Science Theater 3000 where we're just talking shit throughout this film. This movie was just so fucking hilariously bad, but it was still not... It wasn't likable like The Room. It was really just like a fucking movie you want to rip your fucking hair out and kill yourself over.
Yeah. So this climax, which involves with the wife getting killed, she gets killed along with the son, and the only ones that really survived, I think, was the daughter or something like that, and then the son.
Well, we have the poster right now. While we're talking, look how piece of shit this looks.
It looks so like...
Look at it! Look at it!
That's what I'm saying.
It looks so fucking bad.
Yeah, but yeah, there's more we could probably go into detail with, but keep in mind, we just seen this last year, so we might be missing some things that are, from the movie, but the movie is so fucking bad that I can't remember it. So,
like, it was hard to get through. It was so goddamn painful.
It was so insulting that I just wanted to turn it off, like, as soon as it started.
It's a shit on fucking Doug Bradley. It's a shit on Clive Barker. It's a shit on everything.
Yeah. And you know what, here's the funny part. Clive Barker actually spoke about the film, and he said, if I remember the quote correctly, this film is not anywhere, it might have the name Hellraiser or something like that, but this is not, it says, it comes from the mind of Clive Barker, but guess what? That doesn't come from any of my mind or anywhere near my butthole. Yeah. So, even Clive Barker pretty much would be fucking pissed off.
This guy who made this movie and thought this was going to be some success in the production, needs to fucking take a bullet and put it in their fucking head. This was bad. This is an awful piece of shit. Like he said, the gore part, and then maybe one little other scene was
concept. I'll at least give a slightly good credit, half a credit for.
But this movie was so goddamn garbage. I'm going 0.5 out of 10. This movie was that fucking bad. I almost want to go pure 0 out of 10. But like he said, there was some concept that they invented, but it's not what they did with it. They didn't even execute it. But the concept, if it was brought onto a more motion picture set, it may have worked. Yeah. But that was because it was so poorly shot and piece of shit. It's an 0.5 out of 10 for me. It was a horrible fucking garbage.
Yeah, since
And
Yeah.
it's a 2011 film. If I would have seen this in 2011, this would be my worst movie of the year.
Yeah, even for a direct-to-video film, I would still. Now, keep in mind, I don't usually rate films below 1 out of 10, below a 1, but because this is more of a direct-to-video quality, I would still rate it below that, so it deserves a fucking 0.5 out of 10.
Yep.
So, I do not recommend anyone watching this fucking movie because this film
Throw
is
it in
the
trash.
absolute worst of the series, and also it insults everything what Hellraiser started with.
Yeah. And
So-
it made Hellworld, which we just trashed, look like a fucking Oscar-worthy movie.
Yeah, because Hellworld was bad, but at least that one
they
had
brought a main actor
At least
in it.
Lance Henriksen was fun,
Yeah.
and you also at least had Doug Bradley still.
Yeah.
And on concept, much like this one, you still had something that could have been interesting.
But
anyway, yeah. Now there has been talk about doing a remake for a while of Hellraiser, but again, like we said, Clive Barker hasn't really been going with it. But from what I heard was that if they are still going to do a remake of Hellraiser, they're still trying to push it with practical effects. And from what I remember hearing was they were going to try to put it in 3D, which I am looking forward to because I remember I was talking a long time about how it wouldn't work in 3D, but I've kind of changed my mind about that because I like the idea of seeing horror films in 3D with the whole, shit flying on the screen and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would be curious about it. I mean, seeing how they would go probably more in detail more in the book, like with the engineering stuff, because that would probably be something that they can really expand upon.
Yeah.
So with that, we do thank you overall. We do thank you so much for listening to us about our retrospective of the Hellraiser franchise. And what did you guys, if you guys have any recommendations, or what did you guys think of the series overall? Like, what were your favorites, or least favorites of the franchise? Comment below, and if you guys like what you see here, you can check more of our audio retrospectives on SoundCloud and on YouTube. And we'll be having more retrospectives coming up here soon. We'll see you guys later.
Later.